Do you feel like you're still recovering from the fall time change and how it affected your child's sleep? Well, I have good news. The daylight savings spring time change is easier to navigate than the one in the fall. Today, I'm going to share how you can have your child adjusted to the new time in just one day. And I'm going to answer the very common question about whether you can use this time change to switch your child to a later bedtime and a later morning wake time. Hi, I'm Allison Edgety, a pediatric sleep and wellness coach and a mom of two. I love to help parents find solutions. This is How Long Till Bedtime. I know the time change gives a lot of parents heartburn, but I want to assure you that there is no need to lose sleep over the start and end of daylight savings, particularly for the spring forward change. In the United States, on Sunday, March 12th, I'm recording this in 2023, at 2 a.m., the clock is going to spring forward. Because it's moving forward, this is the easier of the two time changes. Your child should be waking later, quote, later than normal, rather than waking, quote, earlier as they do during the fall time change. So, what should you do? Just like with the fall time change, I recommend doing nothing to prepare in advance, and I recommend having your child back on their typical schedule come Monday morning. First, I want to explain why I don't recommend a gradual shift. And then I'll address what to do if you actually want to use the time change to adjust or change your baby's current sleep schedule. The reason I don't like the idea of adjusting your child's sleep schedule by the 10 to 15 minutes every day in the week leading up to the time change. This is a very popular approach, by the way. You'll find it everywhere online. The reason I don't like it is because it increases the risk that you'll throw off your child's sleep rhythm. Our children's biological sleep rhythms are primarily driven by two things. One, natural light, and two, their daily schedule or the rhythm of their day. This daily schedule is a really big piece, particularly for children who go to daycare and school. So, our circadian rhythms don't vary by more than about 15 minutes on any given day. That means if you start tweaking before the time change, you're going to shift their sleep schedule, but the daily rhythm hasn't changed at all. This could mean that your child's sleep is no longer in alignment with that rhythm part of their day, which can result in early morning wakings, it can result in short naps, or even skipped naps. If you're looking for minimal disruption, don't do anything in advance, including the Saturday before the time change. I recommend putting everyone to bed at their normal time. Don't change the clocks. Then Sunday morning, you can either let your child wake up at their typical time, or, and this is probably the best thing to do, proactively wake them 15 to 30 minutes earlier than their normal wake time. So if they typically wake at 6:30 a.m., you could wake them as early as 6 a.m., which is now the new 7 a.m. Or if you want to handle it the way I did with my girls when they were teeny tiny, I would just let them sleep to their typical wake time at 6:30, which would then be the new 7:30. When you wake up on that Sunday, you want to switch the clocks to the new time. Then I recommend making a small tweak to your child's typical nap schedule just for Sunday. So if you have a baby or child who still naps, you'll start their naps 30 minutes later than the typical start time. Let me give you an example. If nap times are typically 9 a.m., 12 p.m., and 4 p.m., you'll put your little one down at 9:30 a.m., 12:30 p.m., and 4:30 p.m. This is one of the reasons for more sensitive kids, it can actually be helpful to wake them 30 minutes earlier than their typical wake time that morning. Since these are technically starting earlier than usual, if you look at the rhythm that they had the day before, your baby or child may take a little longer to fall asleep for these naps. But even if that's the case, you want to not let them sleep more than 30 minutes past their typical wake time for each nap. So you may end up waking them and they may end up getting a shorter nap than usual. So let's say they would typically wake at 10:30 a.m. from their 9 a.m. nap. You'll put them down at 9:30 and you'll wake them by 11 a.m. These are the new times, the new 9:30, the new 11 a.m., no matter what time they actually fall asleep for that nap. You'll do that for any and all naps that your child takes on Sunday, depending on if they're on a, one nap, two nap, or three nap schedule. And don't forget, if you have a toddler or preschooler who uses a toddler clock or light system, you want to adjust that to help them know when they should be getting up from that nap or in the morning. Remember to shift those times for Sunday nap and then again for the Monday waking. And then you're probably actually going to have to shift them again for your Monday naps. So coming into Sunday night, you'll put your little one to bed 30 minutes, quote, later than normal. For example, if their normal bedtime is 7 p.m., you'll put them down at 7:30 p.m. on Sunday night. Remember, that's the old 6:30 p.m. And then come Monday morning, I want you to forge ahead as if the time change never happened. No matter how naps or bedtimes go on Sunday, Monday is back to your normal schedule, normal wake time. Wake your child if necessary. Typical nap times and normal bedtime again come Monday night. So Monday we want our normal nap times. And then Monday night, we want our normal bedtime. And then if they're struggling with this shift on Monday to their naps, you can always put them to bed a little bit early if they need a rescue bedtime. So why does this quick shift usually work best? You have to remember that by Monday morning, your household is going to be back to their normal rhythm of the day. You're going to be going to daycare or work or school at the same time you typically do. Same thing for classes or evening activity. Your child's going to be eating meals at their typical meal times. Your child's sleep should quickly realign with the rhythm of their day, and we want to help it get there as quickly as possible. Now, let's talk about the idea of shifting our early risers to a later schedule. I find that some babies and young children can have their schedule shifted by about 15 to 30 minutes, but it's pretty rare that you're going to be able to shift them an entire hour. So if you have a baby who's currently waking at 6 a.m. and you're thinking, I'd really love for them to wake at 7 a.m., chances are that's not going to stick. That's too big of a shift off of their ideal rhythm. It's possible that this time change will allow them to wake a bit later if that works with the schedule you have for getting them up and leaving the house, but we probably aren't going to want a huge shift there. The reality is most babies and children are going to shift back to their typical, most ideal rhythm within 2 weeks of the time change. That daytime rhythm is ultimately going to win out, and their circadian rhythm is going to shift back to it. If, however, you want to try this schedule shift, go for it, particularly if you noticed a big shift with the fall time change. If you felt like you never fully got your child shifted, then your child will be more likely to have a bigger shift with the springtime change. So I would typically recommend a goal of shifting the schedule by just 15 or 30 minutes later than normal, not the whole hour. And then if you notice your child's getting less sleep than they typically would in a 24-hour period, or if you're starting to see them show tired signs you weren't typically seeing, go back to the schedule that was working well before the time change. I also want to give a little guidance to my newborn moms out there who have babies who are not yet on a consistent schedule. I don't want you to think too much about this time change. You'll keep focusing on wake windows for naps and just think about shifting your child's bedtime and morning wake window. And you can do this gradually by shifting about 15 minutes every couple of days until you're back to your desired bedtime and morning wake time. Making sure that you wake your baby at that desired morning wake window is going to be the easiest and most effective way to shift them over. So, not letting them sleep in too late is going to allow you to shift that bedtime earlier. All right, there you have it. I hope this helps you not worry too much about this upcoming time change, but I also hope it helps you feel prepared to navigate it. If you're like me, you love to have a good plan. So just jot down your schedule for Sunday and remember to change those clocks for those toddlers and preschoolers. And if things get funky for a couple days, early bedtime is always your friend. Thanks for joining me here again today. I hope you'll come back next week. Bye for now. Thank you for listening to How Long Till Bedtime. To learn how we can work together to improve your child's sleep, please visit sleepandwellnesscoach.com.